back to Scalora DanceSport. On this Veterans Day, I would like to thank all the veterans in the United States of America, and I'd like to give a big shout out to the veterans who have decided to be featured on the Scalora DanceSport segment for veterans this year. Our first video in this segment will be featuring Lieutenant Colonel retired Mike Lynch and Lieutenant Colonel retired Roseanne Lynch. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Lynch is a successful program management expert with over 30 years of experience supporting the Office of the Secretary of Defense in the U.S. Air Force, U.S. Marine Corps, and U.S. Navy. A retired U.S. Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, he is a skilled public speaker on Capitol Hill, having served as a White House presidential aide and aide to senior Marine Corps general officers. Previous assignments include commanding officer, staff officer, and technical advisors to senior military service and Defense Department leadership. Lieutenant Colonel retired Roseanne Lynch is a successful public affairs and protocol expert with over 32 years experience supporting the Office of the Secretary of Defense, U.S. Marine Corps, and the Pentagon Forest Protection Agency. A retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, she is a skilled speaker, organizer, and event planner, having served 3 Secretaries of Defense and 2 Marine Corps Commandants. Previous assignments include Media Operations Officer and spokesperson for the Office of the Secretary of Defense Public Affairs, Director of the Secretary of Defense Joint Civilian Orientation Conference, Deputy Director for the Commandant of the Marine Corps Special Project Director, Staff Secretary to the Commanding General, 1st Marine Division, and Marine Corps spokesperson. As a native of Columbia Station, Ohio, Roseanne and her husband Mike have been dancing for 15 years and are the current Senior 2 and 3 American Smooth and Senior 3 International Standard National Champions. They are in total the 16-time USA Dance American Smooth National Champions in the Senior 1, 2, and 3 age categories, and 2-time Senior 3 International Ballroom Champions. Mike and Roseanne Lynch have been privileged to donate their time for numerous dance showcase performances for local USA Dance chapters and various other charitable organizations. They were honored to represent the United States as a member of the USA Dance World Team at the WDSF Senior 3 Standard World Championships in 2016 in Rimini, Italy, 2018 in the Czech Republic, and 2019 in Bilbao, Spain. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel retired Mike Lynch and Lieutenant Colonel retired Roseanne Lynch. How are you guys today?
Hey, Alexander, doing well, thanks, man.
Amazing. How's the weather today, guys?
Cold and chilly, regrettably, but, Hurricane Zeta passed over us yesterday, and so the remnants today were pretty unsettled skies, but
wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Wasn't
we
bad.
survived.
That's it.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Well, first of all, before we begin, I'd like to thank you for your service on this Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Now let's begin. What made you want to join the military? Ma'am, if you could go first.
Oh, what made me want to join the military? I decided I wanted to be a pilot when I was in high school. And my father asked me, what do you want to be? And I told him I wanted to be a pilot. And he said, oh, we can't afford that. So I was like, okay. And he said, if you want to do that, you have to go to a military school. So I applied to 2, which thinking back on it now seems a little odd to apply to 2 schools, 2 colleges, but I applied to the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy. And the Naval Academy answered first, and there I went. That was my first. I started when I was 18, and I didn't get out until quite a few years later, after a 22-year career. So it was 4 years at the academy and 22 years in the Marine Corps. Go figure. So that's how I started. And I never was a pilot after. It was really funny. I just decided to go in the Marine Corps instead.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Sir, how about you?
Well, my father was a Marine, World War II in Korea, and I have 4 brothers, and they all had their different professional pursuits. My oldest brother was a fireman. My oldest brother was a cop. My youngest brother's a fireman, and the other two are salesmen and painter. And for me, it was just sort of a natural link with sports and athletics. In other words, when I went to Officers Candidate School, which is boot camp for officers, just the challenge to face the adversity, to adapt and overcome challenges, that's really what inspired me. And 22 years in the Marine Corps later, I retired. And of course, that was over 15 years ago.
That is amazing, sir. Wow. Now, ma'am, if you could tell us a little bit about your time at the Naval Academy, what could you tell us about that?
Naval Academy was different back then. The first year of women going into the academy was 1976. First class graduated in 1980. I was the fifth class of women graduating in 1984. A bit of a pioneer, I've been told. Although I don't think we want to look at it that way. I don't feel old enough to be a pioneer for anything.
No.
But it was different back then. Some of the classmates didn't want us there. Some of the teachers didn't want us there. But in general, it was a big time of change for women. And I see the women today going on and doing a lot of great things. It's nice to think that maybe that somehow my going through in the very beginning had something to do with that. I was also one of the first 10 women to go from the Naval Academy into the United States Marine Corps, because the Marine Corps also gets officers from the Naval Academy. 16.6% of the graduates go into the Marine Corps, or did back then. So I was one of the first 10 to go from the Naval Academy into the Marine Corps, and that was an exciting opening for me. And it, like I said, it blossomed into a 22-year career. I can't complain about it. I enjoyed it. It was hard. It was really hard. I know I didn't have the college life that the average college student has today, or had back then, but it was great for me, and I'm glad I did it.
Very beautiful. I love it. So, sir, ma'am, I would love to know, how did you two meet?
Well, we met in the Pentagon. So we were both still active duty at the time, and this was back in 2000. And it was a Friday morning, the 25th of August, specifically, 2000. Yeah. So Roseanne and I was aide to a 3-star general officer. Roseanne was working for the commandant of the Marine Corps, the senior officer, 4-star general. And every week they would have a chief of staff meeting, which is generally a colonel. Each of our respective colonels were absent that day, so we attended in their stead.
Mike was a lieutenant colonel at the time. I was a major.
So meeting's over, and the deputy captain of the Marine Corps, which is a Navy captain, in the Marine Corps, all the doctors and dentists and so forth are Navy officers. Long story short, he turned to the Roseanne, who I had not seen at the meeting.
It was my first time ever in the Pentagon.
And he'd asked Roseanne if she would need a ride back up the hill to the Navy Annex, which is a building about a quarter mile up the hill from the Pentagon. And I turned to see who he was speaking to, and I saw Roseanne, and I said, "That's a great idea. Why don't you come ride back with us?" So long story short, we're on the 5th floor of the Pentagon in the Howland Mad Smith conference room.
That's right.
General officer in the Marine Corps back in World War II. And so I asked her, I said, "Hey, if you'd like, I'll show you, one of the quickest ways to get down to outside the river entrance of the Pentagon, which faces DC. And, it's a labyrinth in the Pentagon at times. So in any event, we were the junior officer, so we were the first in the van heading back up the hill.
I was all business. He was not.
So it was one of those 14-passenger vans with like 5 bench seats in the thing. So we get all the way in the back. Well, anyway, the other officers start filing in, and they're getting in the van. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I'll have a chance to speak with her. Well, anyway, here comes the chaplain, and he goes past the first row of seats, the second, the third, and all of a sudden he's sitting between us. And I'm thinking, man, come on. And so van takes off, it's head back up the hill, and I knew I had about 2 minutes. So I started to speak to Roseanne.
Around the chaplain.
Around the chaplain, who's
the chaplain's going, oh, isn't it a beautiful day?
so, chaplain, come on, let me. So in any event, the van pulls up to the Navy Annex. We all disembark.
I'm all business. I'm going straight to my office.
So I wanted to find out where she worked.
He followed me home.
Yeah, so basically that's it. We met at the Pentagon, and I followed her home.
And he told me that his office works with my office a lot, so I'll see him a lot. My office didn't work with his office at all.
Oh, that's beautiful. Interesting.
So that's pretty much it. That's it.
Well, moving on. Throughout your years in the service, let's begin with you, ma'am. What was your favorite assignment?
I had a lot of really good assignments, and I look back on a really great career. Probably my favorite, my most memorable, my most rewarding was with the 1st Marine Division when I was a young captain. I was a brand new captain. Worked with the 1st Marine Division as their public affairs officer, and even deployed for a brief amount of time to Desert Storm. Was on the general staff. I was the only woman that was in the headquarters building for a while. I was one of the few women officers. I think there were 2 of us at the time in the whole 1st Marine Division. 16,000 people. It was a very interesting time to be in the Marine Corps and with the 1st Marine Division. And General Myatt was in command. There was a Chief of Staff named Colonel Lilly. They were my mentors, and until just recently, they remain my mentors. So Colonel Lilly passed away recently. But then I guess past that, my next favorite duty assignment was totally different from that. It was the one that was right after that, pretty much. It was going to Marine Corps Public Affairs, New York. And that's in New York City for 4 years. And working with Fleet Week, working with the presses, working with the media hub, and establishing a corporate relations program for the United States Marine Corps. It was fascinating. It was a small office in the heart of the city. And so, talk about a big swing from where I was at Pendleton. Right. It was great. Those are probably my favorite 2. And then the last one would be working for the Commandant of the Marine Corps, because that's always fascinating being such a high-level staff.
Yes. And you, sir, what was your favorite assignment in your years of service?
Well, I guess I'd mentioned probably my very first one. I was 24 years old. I was deploying overseas for the very first time. I was a logistics officer for an infantry battalion, which is about 800 Marines. And so we're deployed to Okinawa, Japan. And from there, we operated through many countries in the Pacific Rim. But I'll always remember my first winter in South Korea in March of 1984, 30 days out in the field. And that was a challenge to keep the forces in the field supplied and operated in some very cold, bitter conditions. And that's the thing about the Marine Corps. When they deploy to the field, they're pretty much expeditionary all the way, regardless of climate, place, time of year. And so that was quite an eye-opening experience for me.
Right.
I would say that my other favorite assignment was actually my mother's favorite assignment. So I was assigned to the White House as a military social aide. Wow. I worked for President George H. Bush, 41st president, the father. And one of the things I did, I was the officer in charge of the Joint Presidential Color Guard. So every time I would work a state dinner, which was an official visit from a head of state, I would precede that official party down the grand staircase leading the Presidential Color Guard. So my mother would watch C-SPAN, which at the time, that was all that was really available. to watch these proceedings, and I'd get this phone call or I'd have this message when I got home. I saw you on TV. But probably it was interesting. I had an opportunity to be in extremely close proximity to a lot of world leaders at the time. But the very first time I was at a state dinner as the officer in charge of the Joint Presidential Color Guard was Queen of England. So she's there standing next to President Bush, 5 feet away as I present the color guard to retrieve the colors. And then we proceeded down the grand staircase from the Yellow Room, which was the private residence up on the second floor of the White House. So those were probably my favorite assignments.
That is very cool, sir. That is awesome. Now, moving on from your Marine career to your dancing career, how did you guys decide to transition from the United States Marine Corps to ballroom dancing?
That's my fault. Initially that was my fault. Okay, so what happened originally, and I do have to say we never decided to transition. It just kind of dancing came into our lives, and then it stuck around. So to start with it, when Mike retired in 2005, he went on what the Marine Corps calls terminal leave. And that's, you have all this built up excess leave and you get to use it. You can stay at home and you're still earning a salary. So he asked for a honeydew list. Men should never do that unless they really mean it. So he asked for a honeydew list, and I put, he meant like stain the deck and, fix the screens and mow the lawn or plant trees or build something. And number 3 on the list, I put ballroom dance lessons.
Oh, wow.
So.
Well, I thought she was kidding because, I had stuff to do, So, but we basically, I had asked her about this, and she says, "Hey, I bought these lessons." I said, "You paid for these?"
Yeah, buy 10 get 1 free, right?
So,
local studio.
So I said, "Okay, I'll go."
But he didn't go. He said he was going to go, but he didn't go. So then the lady calls from the studio and says, "Your wife paid for these lessons. Are you going to come dance with me?" And he said, "Uh-huh."
I took the lessons. I thought I was king of the world. I learned cha-cha basic. I learned rumba basic. I learned box step and waltz and like a basic and foxtrot. So the point was go to the Marine Corps ball and actually be able to dance. Well, of course, they don't play ballroom. They play,
right. Yes,
other than, yeah. So long story short, it was really just a honeydew list. And then we started attending, go to the Wednesday night swing group class. And then, we started taking some private lessons to try to learn a little bit more. And then we found out you can compete in this.
Oh, yeah.
So we had no idea, it was a foreign world to us. And then it became something that to this day, it's our passion.
We can do it together. Yeah.
Very nice. Beautiful. Now, through these years, what has been your favorite experience in your dance career?
I'll go first on that one. It had to have been, we won Senior 3 Standard the first time in 2016. Mm-hmm. And we received a special letter that invited us to be the representatives to Worlds in Rimini, Italy.
Awesome.
It was amazing. So we went and we met this wonderful couple that traveled with us because we were the 2 couples that were representing, Tom and Renee Malinowski, our fellow competitors with USA Dance. And they were so much fun. And we went to this huge competition, which is enormous. And that year there were 402 registered couples in our event. Yeah. And so that morning, it took all morning just to do the first round with 27 heats in the first round to do 402 couples. It was phenomenal. It was a huge experience. It was so hot and it wasn't air conditioned. It was great. We loved it, and just experiencing the competition, Italy, everything with Tom and Renee. We are forever best friends with them, and it absolutely is my favorite.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I would just say that that first experience just totally blew us away. The competition site, there were 8 ballrooms. It was a massive, the Rimini Festival in the first 8 days of July.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, man, we could just live here.
We
But
loved it.
but I'm sure our employers at the Secretary of the Air Force and the Pentagon Force Protection Agency was probably wondering, hey, when are these guys coming back? They only had a week's leave. But it really got us thinking how cool it would be now that we are retired. Roseanne earlier this year, and then me a year before. Obviously, this is all pre-COVID. To be able to really accelerate travel to Europe and to dance and compete.
It's a whole different world out there, and it's something when you're dancing American Smooth, you don't get to experience that. And all of a sudden, we were representing the U.S. in standard, and just going everywhere. And everybody's doing the same thing you are doing, and it's phenomenal. It's a great experience.
Yes, ma'am. I agree 100%. So, next question. Since you guys both experienced a career in the military and a career in the dance world, do you find any similarities between both careers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, elaborate, sir.
Well, for me particularly,
Both of us.
I think for both of us, the mental qualities that are required both in the Marine Corps and competitive dancing, the physical qualities, obviously, we're all cognizant of that. But basically, you're being asked to perform, whether it's your military specialty or if it's your style of dance, in a challenging environment. In other words, it takes discipline, it takes commitment, and both the military and ballroom, if you will, I mean ballroom, all styles, those qualities to be successful in either are the same. So that's what we found appealing, very appealing. We were both athletes through organized sports. I grew up playing football. I wrestled as a kid, ran track, played soccer, rugby, you name it, and even college ball. And I was a college half miler. Marine Corps, obviously, we were competing all the time. Running particularly, and other things. And so ballroom was the thing for us to do that, do it together, and continue to do it to this day.
Yes. So would you say that the Marine Corps values, honor, courage, commitment would be needed in the ballroom world?
Well, it's good of you to say that. Yeah, that's more of a sort of a philosophical way to lead one's life, because what you have, what you contain, from the Marine Corps standpoint, honor, courage, and commitment, absolutely applies to ballroom and everything you do. Right. So be courteous. Obviously, don't be afraid, and go for it. I mean, there's your commitment. And so for us, absolutely synonymous.
That's true.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I agree with what he says, and although Mike doesn't like when I say this, we get onto the ballroom floor and people always say, wow, Mike is so calm. He looks so calm on the floor. And it's because our philosophy on the floor is nobody's shooting at you, nobody's dying. It's ballroom. It's a huge competition and you're out there doing your best, but everything within, your parameters of your life.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. I love it, guys. Now, moving on a little more particular in your dance career, when did you two begin to dance? Competitive.
Well, yeah, no, basically, approximately 2005, we started out at a local studio. And then as we became primarily doing NDCA amateur events, student events, pro-am events, and as we started to attend competitions, we saw, all the different skill levels that were out there, both professionally as well as amateur. We had no idea about USA Dance until someone introduced us to it in 2009. So it was about 4 years of dancing before we even knew that there was an amateur-based organization.
That's it.
So it's, over 15 years ago is when we started to dance. And first competition was in July of 2005.
Virginia State.
Yeah, Virginia State here, local to DC.
That's it. And truthfully, we have never taken a break. We keep going.
Yeah. No, I think the longest we took was, the first few weeks, during COVID.
COVID is our first break.
We didn't know what to do. We had to find a place
Me as well.
It turned out to be our basement.
That's it. The
We
basement
cleaned
is
it out.
empty.
Yeah, the basement is empty.
Wow. Now, with all this dancing and training, clearly you guys travel. So what country that you have traveled to is your favorite?
I'm still in Italy. I loved Italy. It's absolutely my favorite. So for every reason I gave you before, with the whole experience was amazing. If somebody told me tomorrow I can go to Italy, and I would go.
Wow, good.
I absolutely loved Vienna. I thought it was a fabulous place.
Nice, yes.
That would be, something really worthwhile to consider. I'll say last fall, October of 2019, when we went to Bilbao, Spain.
That was beautiful too.
Yeah, it's just, again, one of those is we're looking out over the city thinking, we could live here. So, but those, and of course, we've been to the Czech Republic, Olomouc, Czech Republic, beautiful city. Of course, we've been to England for Blackpool and International in London, and so we're hoping when the times allow that we'll be back at it. In fact, even a week ago today was the previously scheduled Senior 3 World Championships in Amsterdam, which obviously canceled, of course. But we're doing what we can now to prepare when that time allows us to compete again.
Yes, sir. So clearly you guys are experienced dancers. Now, behind every experienced dancer is a very good teacher. So I ask you, what does your teacher and coach mean to you?
Well, I can start that one. It's very important to have a knowledgeable professional behind you, someone that can help you throughout your dancing education. It's so important. We've been so fortunate to have access to some very top-notch coaches. They're proven professionals in their industry, and they have helped us through our entire dancing career. We'll start with smooth, for example. Irina Saurkanyan, she dances with so much passion and so much power and energy, and she has really worked on our smooth dancing, and she brought us to our first championship title in the US. She's our mama bear. She always will be, and we love her so much. Right now we're with Kirill Goryatsev and Daria Zotova. They are a current smooth couple, and they're tremendous dancers with excellent backgrounds and skills that they have taught us and continue to teach us.
Yeah, and so really from our regular coaches in the DC area, we've been very fortunate to have just outstanding instruction. And of course, originally Irina was from Armenia and Kirill from Russia.
Oh, wow. That is nice.
From Russia. So basically, they grew up dancing, and they brought that to the U.S. with them, and we were fortunate. We've had also some other excellent smooth guest coaches like Peter Perdue, who we love taking instruction from, Marianne Nicole, Eddie Simon, Rosendo Famero and Lisa Kark. And so we're just so fortunate to have had this opportunity. Similarly in Ballroom, that which really kind of started our ballroom career, we looked at Gary Geckman when he came here to the DC area about 10 years ago. It was so funny. We met him at a competition, and after the competition, he came up to us and said, "You two are good dancers, but you need only a little bit more information."
We needed a lot more
Well,
information.
it turned out we continue to need information,
It never stops.
but Gary's really the one that kind of introduced us to the possibilities of what we could be, and he's really our forever mentor, if you will, coach and friend. But since then, we've been blessed to have other outstanding coaches. Vladislav Dolia, who's a very highly talented young instructor. He came from the Ukraine, and at the time his partner, Maria Bislitskaya from Russia, they were the ones that really prepared us for our first national title in 2016, and we've continued with Vlad during this time. We've also had a wonderful opportunity to take instruction with this fabulous couple from Italy, Gianni Caliandro and Ariana Esposito. And I've actually had the chance to dance pro-am with Ariana, and it's
that's so cool.
how much you
Very nice.
are able to learn, not only from instruction, but from dancing. Most recently, we've been working with Andrea Zaramella.
Mr. Zaramella, yes.
But all these coaches are proven professionals and competitors in their career.
Amazing dancers.
Continue to push us in our dancing.
Well, along with those that are standard coaches, that are the regular ones that we've taken from, we've been so lucky because here just in the DC area, Anna Mikayed, Paul Houston, Dan Calloway, Igor and Polina Pilipenchek, they're just right here in the area.
So we're fortunate to be in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Of
Yes.
course, other guest coaches like Charlotta Jorgensen, Martin Smith, Maya Survey, Glenn Weiss. These are people, whenever we've had the opportunity to take, it's great. And even when we travel internationally.
We went and we saw Stephen Hanna. He's one of my favorites. I love Stephen Hanna. Robert and Barbara Grover, and then Snigoli Woods.
So when we have a chance to go to England and we try to catch up with some of the folks while we're there, it's proven so helpful. And we have to thank Gianni and Ariana for arranging a lot of this guest instruction. They have a lot of experience, Gianni and Ariana, dancing in England, so they know a lot of the coaches there. But
so it kind of comes back to your question, how important are these coaches? So important. And you should take every opportunity to learn, because each one is going to teach you something. Keep moving on. They will bring in coaches that they think can help you, and you should take full advantage of them. Leonid Plitnev is another one.
Yeah.
Huge opportunities, and it's been so good for us.
So really, our job is to show up prepared, ready to receive instruction, and then take that on board, find out what works for us, take it to our regular coaches when we have guest coaching, and see what little variable can assist us in our dancing. But coaching, without it, one won't advance, one won't progress.
Right, yes, sir. So you would agree with the statement, trust the coach 100%.
Trust the coach 100%. And then the next coach will say the same thing again, and you have to trust them too.
and over time, I mean, we find we're more comfortable with who we are as dancers, and we can always have discussions on what works for us. But honesty is always the best policy. So when we work with coaches and we feel that what they're giving to us based on their experience works for us, that's what we're going to go with.
That's right.
That which maybe is not, maybe we have to come back.
With trusting your coach is you have to choose your coach well and then trust them.
There you go. Yes, yes, ma'am. All right, sir, ma'am, I would like to thank you so much for being on Scalora DanceSport this evening. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.
Well, we thank you also for this opportunity. You yourself are an amazing young man
Thank you very much.
with, you and your partner, you're dancing so well, and we watch you and you inspire us, and what you're doing now with making this a possibility for other people on Zoom, power to you. You're doing great things.
Thank you, ma'am.
Keep
Thank you.
going.
And in addition to the Stars and Stripes, thank you for depicting the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor.
Behind you.
Sure, always. Semper Fi.
Alexander, thank you.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we find our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Our flags unfurled to every breeze from dawn.
Each year on November 11th, we honor all the men and women who have served our country in uniform. Today is about recognizing the contributions veterans have made throughout our history, to reflect on their dedication and sacrifice and that of their families, and to reaffirm our commitment to keep faith with those who served. More importantly, it gives us an opportunity to say thanks. To all veterans, I want to thank you for your service, not just for your time in uniform, but also for the leadership you're providing in your communities every day. You continue to make a difference across our nation, and I couldn't be more proud. God bless you and your families.